So you've heard me talk about video so much in the past. That's not going to change today. The quicker that we can adopt video into our business, the quicker that we're going to be able to get more leads. So getting more clients, quicker we're going to be able to convert people at a mass scale, and the quicker we're going to be able to scale our business. Talk today, it revolves around video. So to understand the temperature in the room, how many of you have published one video, just one, doesn't matter where, one video in the last 7 days? You can raise your hand if you have your cameras on, which is highly appreciated. You can drop it in the chat. Like, how many of you have actually published one video in the last 7 days? So you can put yes. We have Carmen in the house. She's published it. I think I might have even seen that one. We have Ashley. We have a good amount of people. I published a reel on Instagram. Awesome. Nope, but many in the past. I like it. All righty. So this next question is really more about one of the biggest roadblocks that a lot of agents have, and that's about the strategy behind it, which again, we're going to speak to all three categories today: on acquisition, on conversion. Regardless if you published or not in the last 7 days, do you have a video marketing strategy? So yes or no in the chat, or just nodding your head, or just shaking your head, whatever it ends up being. Do you have a video marketing strategy? And if so, if someone is, this is going to be a little bit more pulling some engagement from the audience. For those of you that do say yes, if you're comfortable, no requirement, but if you're comfortable, are you willing to share what your video marketing strategy is? There's no right or wrong answer here. So for those of you that said yes, I would like to hear what your video marketing strategy is. This is part of that collaboration that we've been talking about. David, if you want to unmute yourself. Sorry, I muted you.
Can you hear me now?
Automatically unmuted. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, I was finishing my breakfast. I had a camera off. I've had a YouTube channel. Actually, I went through one of your YouTube mastery courses maybe a couple years back, and put up a YouTube channel, and it's been great. But lately I've been doing a big change to it. So making it less about real estate and me, and more about the communities, more about what people would actually be searching for, and then going back and updating the tags. So I've been right now writing out a bunch of scripts to go out in the neighborhoods, get out to some of the landmarks in San Diego, and then I'll go. I am posting a video a week. I own one today, but it's been kind of pre-done videos, not so much me in front of the camera, but I'll go back to me in front of the camera with the YouTube stuff, and have it more searchable for my area, for my communities, and be more, the pros and cons of coming to San Diego, what I don't like about San Diego, what I love about San Diego, and kind of give it an update through that. So I guess right now it's slowed down here in San Diego because rates are so high. So it's given me an opportunity to do the things that I've pushed off for so long. It's one of those trade-offs I really don't like, to have less business going on, but I don't want to sit around on my hands. And but I think one thing I have noticed through YouTube, it's one of those things that's evergreen, so it stays there producing interest. But if you're not going after the interest of what people are looking for, then you're not going to get the views that you want, and the searches, people finding you through that. And definitely I see a difference when you're doing videos every week. If you could do even 2 videos every week, it seems like Google, YouTube will reward you. So, but that's and one of the things is consistency. So that's why I'm putting all these videos together. Then I'll start pushing them out again and get the channel consistency going.
Yeah. No, I dig it. Thank you for sharing. You've got a lot of great things going on there. So one thing that really led me into part that I wasn't planning on covering in today's mastermind, but really to wrap our arms around the video marketing strategy, I kind of have to just because I kind of have to. So when you're looking at at any business, we just happen to be in real estate. When you look at the business, there's really two things. You're either marketing or you're prospecting to generate the business. That's it. You're prospecting. So if we're looking at this the foundation, I know I'm up here instead of down here, but when you're looking at the foundation, you're either prospecting, meaning calling, door knocking, sending direct mail. I have to do this in order to get this. And if I stop doing the calls, then I'm not going to get this, right? So it's a very active part of your day. It's either you're spending time or you're spending money, but you're actively doing it. That's prospecting. And there's a good balance of both. But then there's also the marketing aspect. Can't
hear you.
All right. How about now? All right. So this microphone is going in the trash. It's brand new too. Is this audio okay? All right, cool. So no need to complicate things when we had things working originally. Okay. So from the prospecting side, you have the active going out and getting the business. From the marketing side, you're bringing people to you at scale. Going back to David's point, that's where YouTube thrives. That's where all the social media platforms thrive. So if we start from those two understandings as we go into our lesson today or our TED Talk today, that's what we need to have a healthy mix of. What are you going to do? Are you going to be more active in prospecting for now business? Or are you going to be more, I don't want to say passive in the form of, oh, if things happen or not, but a little bit more patience. I typically replace passive with patience. So are you going to be more patient and let the marketing, the branding, the things that take a little bit longer to materialize, are you going to actively keep working on that so as to bring business at scale at a later date? Giving you a very direct example, this might be oversharing, but on my YouTube channel, my primary YouTube channel, I really haven't focused on it in the last year. And I'm making way more money than I was even last year when I was pumping out a video a day. Now there's other things that I've been doing, but at the end of the day, people are still reaching out to me. People are still calling me. People are still doing X, Y, and Z, right? So that's where I put in the hell of a lot of work of pumping in 1,000 videos on YouTube. And now I'm reaping the rewards because I have some other business ventures that I'm launching off the ground before I come back. Now it's a very personal, just so you kind of know where I'm going with this, but just with the understanding. Now, once we have that mapped out, what we want, if we're going to be more active or if we're going to be more patient, again, think of passive with patient. Now we need to bake in the three pillars that we've talked about on this on this mastermind quite a bit: acquisition, lead generation, conversion, and scaling. And I promise I'll tie this all back into video very soon and how that looks like. So right below each one of those, right below if you're writing things down, you have your prospecting, you have your marketing. Underneath those, the next subset is acquisition, conversion, and scaling. Now we're going to tie everything in through video. Know that this could be tied in through another vehicle, such as written text. It could be in image form. It could be in person form. I don't recommend those because you can't do that at scale, but just so you know, there's different vehicles that you could use within that, but sticking very simple to it. So let's just go from the marketing side. We're talking marketing. Now we talk about acquisition, we talk about conversion, and then we talk about scaling. So putting those three on a piece of paper is very powerful for you, because now you'll know very visually, very directly, how much of my efforts are being put on conversion, how much of my efforts are being put on acquisition, lead generation, how much of my efforts are being put on scaling. If you're an agent that is struggling to get that next client, no judgment, but you shouldn't be looking at scaling. There should be no effort on scaling.
Now, if you're an agent that is, I hate this job because there's 30 people that want my time, you need to be working on the other. You need to flip it completely upside down. You need to be working on scaling. You need to be focused on leveraging your time. You need to be focused on leveraging your business. Does that make sense? So when you look at those three things, the acquisition, the conversion, the scaling, you're going to get a very visual representation of what that's going to look like for your business. And we're going to take it one step further. This is how you start multiplying yourself. So there's really every input that you have, and I'm talking solely about video right now. So we're going straight into video. Every input that you have, meaning every video that you put out, needs to have a purpose. Is this a video that I am acquiring new business from? Is this a video that I am converting business from? Is this a video that I'm scaling my time in? I'll give you a direct example on all of them. If you put out a video, and we'll talk about the platforms at the latter part of our call today, but if you put out a video, is this video designed to get me more clients? So as an example, the 5 things necessary to purchase your first home. Don't worry about the title because that was a terrible title, but just so you understand what we're talking about here. So the 5 things to do to buy a home, or five musts of buying a home. That video that you created that talked about those 5 things, that is a video that you expect to generate business from. That's an acquisition video. Does that make sense so far? Now let's talk about conversion. A conversion video is something, let's say you did an open house, you had 10 people come through. A conversion video is a video that you create that you send to those people that came to your open house. Hey, thanks for visiting. Really appreciate you coming through. If you find a house that you like in the area, know that I am also qualified to help you in the rest of the neighborhood. Hope you have a great Saturday. So when we were talking about leveraging video to convert more, can you see how that would be more compelling than sending your 8 people or 10 people that came to your open house, sending them an email on a Monday? Hey, thanks for hanging out on Saturday. Thanks for coming in and eating some of my cookies. Could you see how that video that you send out immediately after that open house would be much more powerful, would help you stand out, versus on a Monday, them receiving that email and knowing full well that they went to 10 other open houses? Could you see how you would get lost in that? Right? So as we're starting to talk about the video aspect, these are ways to start integrating that into your business. And here's a little pro tip. The pushback that I get on that video is, well, Jaime, sometimes I have 20. Then you have 20. Okay, you have 20 people that come through. Congratulations. You should be converting 4 of those. But I always have these questions and these rebuttals, so I have to have a solution for them because I don't like leaving them unanswered. Well, how about just making a video in your car? You won't do it in the house this time, but in your car, recording that generic message and then sending it out to all of them, right? So it's an opportunity. No one's going to notice, oh, they didn't have the red blouse when I met them. No one's going to notice that, right? So at that point, you have the same set, or the same, you have the same set in your car. That's natural. So if you don't have time to make 20 individual videos to the 20 people that came through, that one video alone is going to help you convert more business. And that actually is a twofer because that helps you scale, right? So it allows you to multiply yourself, right? But now let's talk about scaling. So again, we're going right down. So once you understand the fundamentals of it, apply the same thing to prospecting, apply the same thing to your family, apply the same thing to your nonprofit, apply the same thing to your church, apply the same thing to whatever, right? Once you understand this, you're going to be able to replicate that on anything. But let's go to scaling. So a scaling video is one where you write a contract and then you record yourself writing a contract. And now you have a video tool to pass on to a buyer's agent that you're bringing on. Now have a video tool that you have for your transaction manager so they know exactly how you want things to be done. Now you have a tool to your assistant so they know exactly what you want, how you want it, and when you want it, right? So the reason so for going back to me, because I don't like to overshare, but I also want to show that from the practitioner side, what that looks like. Whenever I am bringing on team members, The reason I'm able to bring in 5 team members at a time, whether it's from the real estate agent side or from the personal internal team that we have, so our staff that we have internally, everyone goes through the same filter. Everyone goes in through the same vehicle. So we hire the same way, we interview the same way, we train the same way, and we scale all of that through video. So once we have 5 team members, so just this last, it was 2 weeks ago, we hired 5 editors at once. I'm not gonna say all of them worked out, but we hired all 5 editors at once, and they were trained the same way. They have the same editor notes, they have the same expectations, they have the same, everyone has the same thing, but it was all done through video. So the same thing for your business. I gave you one example of creating a video. So as you're writing an offer, next time, if you have expectations on, a lot of you have a lot of business just having known you. Well, most of the time you're bringing on a buyer's agent, right? So when you're overwhelmed with business, you're bringing on a buyer's agent. Taking a hour of your day and training how to actually show a home, just you recording that, now becomes an expectation that you pass on to your buyer's agent. Now you provide the same experience to your agents. I'm sorry, to your clients, but other agents are using it, right? So this is how we're talking about scaling. But this is where I have to come back to the point of, you have to have self-awareness of where your business is at. Because if you're making all of these, think of them as a standard operating procedures, making all these videos on, hey, this is how you write an offer. This is how you show a home. This is how you do X, Y, and Z. And educating someone, and you don't have one transaction to work from, then you're wasting your time. That's something I did for the longest time. I have the most perfect SOPs that never were used because I didn't have that business to sustain it, right? So there's such a thing as getting over your skis, over preparing, and failing to execute. Is this making sense? I know this is becoming very preachy, but I do want to make sure that we land on the acquisition, conversion, and scaling. Having that self-awareness is going to help you out. So when it comes to, I'll talk about the platforms and I'll talk about content creation. Those are 2 things I want to make sure that I hit before we open it up. Let's talk about content creation. No, because that one is a little bit longer. Let's talk about the platforms. David, you mentioned YouTube. I love YouTube. YouTube has been so good to me. But understanding that every piece of content that you create, we're talking video. Remember, video is the entire everything right now. Every piece of content that you create in video format, for one, should not just live on your phone, right? Should not just live on a file folder on one of your computers. It should live on at least 4 platforms today. Like at this point in time, at the time of our mastermind, it should live on at least 4 platforms today in one way, shape, or form. So one of the first platforms that it should live on, it should be on YouTube, regardless if it's a short form video. Short form video, just as a reminder, is that vertical form video, less than 60 seconds. But forget about short form, long form, all that stuff right now. But just let's stick to video. It should live on YouTube. It should live on Facebook. It should live on Instagram. And then you get to decide the other 2 platforms. Should it live on TikTok? Should it live on LinkedIn? Should it live on Twitter? Bare minimum, you have 3 that I would not compromise if I were you. The 4th one, that one is up to you, but I would recommend it be TikTok. But there's really 6 viable platforms. We talked about YouTube, we talked about Facebook, we talked about Instagram, we talked about TikTok, we talked about Twitter, and we talked about LinkedIn. There's 6 viable platforms. I just want you to choose 4 of them. 3 of them, I know I'm making it confusing, but 3 of them I would not compromise on. The 3 platforms that I would not compromise on would be YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, because they have the highest reach, they have the highest return, and they have the most functionality bang for your buck. Now, TikTok has quickly become one of the leaders. So that's also one that it might very, very, very soon become an uncompromisable one. But it's, in my opinion, it's not there just yet, but it will be very, very soon. So we're talking about one video, right? So we talked about prospecting, we talked about marketing. Then we focused on marketing for a quick second. And this is really the only one that we're going to focus on. We're not going to talk about prospecting today. Then we talked about the three pillars. You have the acquisition, the conversion, and then the scaling, right? So now you know, am I making more videos that talk about scaling, or am I making videos that are more about scaling, or am I making more videos about acquisition? Meaning, is my top of funnel, is my content broad enough to bring in more people? And I'm experiencing that myself. I mentioned to you my slowdown in my video production. Although I still am generating a ton of business, I'm not generating the business that I actually actively want. So giving you an example, if I launch a product, if I launch a service, if I launch a whatever, I'm priming the pump in creating a lot of acquisition videos, and then I'm distributing them on YouTube, distributing them on, and as many YouTube channels that I have there. So I distribute them on all of my YouTube channels. Go over to Instagram, go over to Facebook. Same thing for you, right? So as we're going through that, now we decide on what platforms to post them on. Because the worst thing that you can do is not make a video at all. That's the worst thing. The second worst thing is make the video and do nothing with it. The third thing, the worst thing I keep saying worse. So as in terms of hierarchy, you can either not do a video, that's going to be awful. You can make a video and not share it anywhere. That's also awful. You can make a video and post it on a few platforms here and there. That's not as awful, but it's not optimal. The fourth is you actually distributing to every single platform. You're just getting in between the client and the transaction. And every single platform allows you to do that free of charge. Back in the day when you wanted to make it in Hollywood, if you wanted to make it in whatever, you have to physically move to Hollywood. You have to go to those casting calls. You have to do all that stuff. Today, every single person has that opportunity. Back in the day, when you wanted to make it as a rock star, when you wanted to make it as an artist, you had to get signed by a record label. Today, you can go straight to Spotify and it gets distribution like that. So we have to start thinking about the model that a lot of real estate agents fail to recognize is that one, you're a media company, and two, look at media companies operate. Look at how the artists are doing things. Look at how the Hollywood videos are being done. That's the model that you should be replicating, but we're over here learning just small time, we're playing very, very, very small. All right, let me get back to teaching because I'm becoming more preachy again. Platforms. We talked about platforms. Let's talk about the actual content creation. So remember, every piece of content that you create, every piece of video that you create has to live in 4 different platforms. Minimal. Content creation. Every single topic that you think about, that you want to create, that you want to talk about, that you want to educate on or entertain on, needs to give you at least 7 pieces of content. Every single topic. So we're talking about topics right here. And I've actually been talking about that all this week. So you might be hearing this for the second time, and that's okay. Every piece of content that you create needs to have every single topic that you're thinking about or every subject that you're thinking about covering needs to produce you 7 pieces of content because you're a realtor, you're a real estate agent first, but you're using your media hat, you're using your content creation skills to feed your real estate business. Don't flip those. I know I just went on a rant about media. I'm saying model that. I'm not saying become an artist. I'm still saying become the real estate agent. So what this looks like in terms of application, every single topic is going to give you 7 pieces of content. So if you're talking about how to sell a house, you're going to go into your first video is going to be everything you need to know about selling a house. That's your first video. And it'd be cool. I don't know if I can draw on it. I know I can draw on this, but I don't know if you could actually see this. Your first video is everything you need to know about. What did I say? Was it selling your house? Was that the one? So everything you need to know about selling your house. That's your first video. Your next video is the 11 steps to selling your house. So the important thing here is to latch on to the fact that it's another video that you're creating based off of the same topic, but you're covering 11 points. So the easiest illustration that I've taught, that I've known to use on this is you've created your entire book on selling a house. That was your first video. That's your entire book. And then on your second video, the second video that you're covering 11 points, you're taking out 11 chapters, right? So it's still the same book. You just are selecting different priorities. That's your second video. Your third video is 7 things. So the 7-step process to selling your house. What we've done is we've taken, again, the same book, and this time we've condensed it even further, and we've taken 7 steps from it. Remember, the book is still the same. You're still saying, you're not saying the exact words, but you're saying it's the exact same context, which you're providing less context on. So it's the same content, different context. That's the best way of saying it. Then you go down to the 5. So once you get to the 5, so remember, you've made everything about, you've done the 11 points, you've done the 7 points, and now your fourth video is the top 5. Once you get to 5, and then you'll see the other examples. Once you get to the 5 things, then you can start using words like the top, the best, the only. We're starting qualifying things. So the top 5 things to do when selling your house. The top 5 musts of selling your house. Let's back up for a quick second. In context, we're talking about we're still talking about the same subject, selling your house. Now we're going a little bit further. Then your 5th video is going to be the top 3, the only 3, the top 3 things to do when selling your house, the top 3 things that will get you, the top 3 things that will sell your house faster, the top 3 things that will get you more money for your house. Same subject, same topic, but we're going down the funnel. Everything about 11 things, 7, 5, 3, and then we get to the final one, which is the top, the best, the only. The only thing you need to know about selling your house. The one thing you must do when selling your house. Then you get to that one most critical aspect, whatever you deem it to be. Same book, same subject, same topic. But now we just take the executive summary version. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Awesome. Now so that's 6. Now when we get to the 7th, we're doing the complete opposite. We're playing the anti-hero now. We're doing the cons list, the why you should not sell your house, reasons not to sell your house, why selling your house can hurt you today, why selling your house today will cost you more, why selling your house is the most dangerous thing you can do today. Notice that I'm getting a little bit salacious because I play on YouTube a lot, but what I'm trying to convey here is every single topic that you can think of, whether it's the option period, whether it's buying a house, whether it's selling a house, whether it's home staging, whether it's multiple offer situations, you write your entire thesis, you write your entire book, you make a video on that entire book. And then these other 6 videos, so remember that's going to be your first video. Then the other 6 videos become your feeder videos to your anchor video on everything, on every platform. So remember where we came from. We came from the understanding of prospecting and marketing. We stuck to marketing for a quick second, even though it could work for prospecting. Then we broke it down into the acquisition, the acquisition, the conversion, and the scaling. Then we talked about the platforms to use. We talked about where we're going to go and distribute our content. That was just more about getting the word out, right? So that was about being seen everywhere. But what we're talking about right now is how to take every subject, regardless of what it is, and making 7 pieces of content from that subject. Because remember, you're a real estate agent first, you're a media company second, you're a content creator second. Because at the end of the day, if you had all the time in the world, you'd probably be in Hollywood. You'd probably be doing something else, right? So if this was the only thing that you were doing, video, then yeah, you could spend a lot of money, but at some point you have to recognize money is not abundant. Well, it is abundant, but it just depends on who has it. And so it's time. So here we have to balance the two. What is the best thing that I should do at any point in time to help grow my business as a real estate agent first? So that's really what I wanted to talk about today. Does that make sense? I know I went on a rambling thing, and then we had the video mishap, but I just want to make sure that we got it.
I got it.
I like
So,
it.
Jamie, if I'm hearing you correctly, we would be creating one big video and chopping it up so that we would have content to push around on the 4 pillars? Or are you saying to be sharing those things out to the other social media? So if you house it on YouTube, you putting the other, sharing it out there over time. So you're really creating content one time and then over time, dripping it out through the different, social medias.
That's very, very close. That's a way of doing it. It's not the most optimal way of doing it from a return on investment. From a time perspective, it's spot on. That's what I did for a long time, taking that pillar content, chop, 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 and we're good to go. From an effectiveness standpoint, we are talking about 7 individual videos.
Okay.
So whenever I go to video market, you're gonna be able to see it. Can you see that? No, not really well. I'll redo it before next mastermind. But once you make your first book, then it's fresh on your mind. You can just rattle off 11, rattle off 7, rattle off 5, rattle off. Each one of those videos needs to feel like you specifically created that video, that unique video. So it needs to have its own intro, the content, and then the outro, whether you're doing this for YouTube, whether you're doing this for social media. So I'm talking about creating 7 individual pieces of content from the same book with you having recorded it 7 different times. There's nothing wrong with what you suggested on repurposing. I did that for years. It's just not the most effective way of doing it. And you're not going to grow as fast.
Yeah, I appreciate you clearing that up, because that would rather try to do it right, or what's more effective from somebody who's actually done it. So, I mean, it makes sense to me. I mean, once you write down the 11 points, then it's real easy just to take that script and then, revise it to the other videos that you were mentioning, 3 steps, 5 items, 7 top ways, and then the full opposite at the end on the 7th video, why you shouldn't sell your house.
Exactly. So think about what we've done though. Think about, and this is where I had to start from the prospecting and marketing side. If you want to apply this, let's just say you went through the entire process and you have 7 pieces of content now. Some of those pieces of content are going to be in your acquisition strategy. Some of these are going to be in your conversion strategy. Some of these are going to be in your scaling strategy. And these same videos, remember, we're on this marketing branch. If we turn it over here to the prospecting side, when you're doing your calling, this is not going to be the most perfect transition, but just want to make sure that I illustrate the point. If you go over here to the prospecting side as you're calling, if you're making a video, if you already made that video, and you're calling, having a great conversation. Are you thinking about selling? Yeah, but not right now. Awesome. Cool. Okay. Can I have your email? Can I have your phone number? Well, I have your phone number. Can I have your email? Awesome. Well, hey, I enjoyed our time today. I'm going to send you a brief video that I made that's really helping out a lot of homeowners right now on the process to sell their house from beginning to end. So I'm going to text that to you just so you have it. Again, a lot of homeowners are finding a lot of value in it. So I just thought it'd be a great opportunity to share it with you. And if you can drop a like, I'd love you forever. Right? So as opposed to, well, I'll contact you later. Right? So that right there is a conversion strategy that you leverage. That video is living on social media, is living on YouTube, but now you're presenting that in your prospecting strategy. So everything here is like, I don't know if any of you are golfers, but that's where I used to be a pretty okay golfer. Just some minor tours. But with my swing coach, our big thing was there's no wasted motion. Right? So as you're taking your club back, if I don't have it locked in here, and if I go beyond here, I've wasted so much of my motion. I've wasted so much. So the difference between a good shot for me at that time, depending on the club, but for me, the difference was if I take it too far back, I've introduced a lot of other variables that had I said it the first time, I'd be off to the races. So for you, the illustration that what I'm trying to convey here is everything that you're creating is very circular. It should be feeding into each other. And if you're making videos just without a strategy, that's why I asked about if you had a strategy or not. Just everybody here, there's a lot of no's there. Once you understand the differences between prospecting and marketing, get into the acquisition, conversion, scaling, understanding the 4 platforms that you need to be posting on, and understanding how to create content at scale. All of this is working together to where every single video that you put out there is not a waste of time. There's a lot of agents, when I do the one-on-one coaching, there's a lot of agents that are wasting a hell of a lot of time. A lot. So I would much rather you be effective than be busy. And we think that being busy means effectiveness. All right. So I keep going on rants. Sorry. That's very preachy, but this one was going to be a longer one. What questions do you have on that? We are actually going to run out of time. So on video 7, what are the reasons not to sell your house? Well, you can make as many as you want, but it's, for me, if I was going to make that video, well, one of the reasons that you shouldn't sell your house is if you need the cash. If you need the home and don't have the cash to purchase another one, you probably shouldn't. If you're upside down on your mortgage right now, where you overpaid and you have to come to closing with the check, if you don't have money, then you're kind of stuck. So just make sure that you're making the monthly payment right now, right? So you don't have to go through a litany of it. So actually, a video that I made, I don't remember when I made it, maybe 2 months ago, on the Dallas-Fort Worth real estate market. The reason that so many people have to, actually, that is not to sell your house. No, that was actually a reason to sell your house. Forget that I said that. But anyway, it doesn't have to be a long, extensive list. It just has to be the counter argument. Because in negativity, you actually get more views.
It could be pretty simple. Just say, hey, if you have to sell a home to buy a home, or if you have a great rate on your current home, but not getting a great rate on your next home. Or it could be something like, you don't know where you're going. You don't really know where you're going. Don't sell your home.
You could also flip it, right? So what I do is I do clickbait, but within reason. I don't clickbait with intent to actually be clickbait. So I embed the outcome that I want, but through a negative lens. So what I mean by that is, what are the reasons not to sell your house? Well, if you don't need to sell your house to buy the one that you're looking for, don't. Become a renter. Become a landlord. Build equity. Like one of the biggest, I shouldn't say the biggest mistake. It was a big mistake that I look back on. Whenever I was younger, I made a boatload of money. And I mean like a lot. And I got into a home that it was here in Dallas-Fort Worth market. It was a $500,000 home. As a 24-year-old, I had no business buying that because it was a castle. It was 4,500 square feet. But what I ended up doing was thinking that I was going to have the NFL salary for forever. I was like a non-professional NFL player with the income that I was generating, but I ended up doing a 15-year note on that. There was no way that I could rent that out whenever I went off on my own and started being this entrepreneur thing. No way I could rent that out. So I had to sell that house. And right now, when I looked at it at Zillow, it's $750,000. So with that being said, had I known that back in the day, then maybe I wouldn't have gotten into the 15-year, right? Maybe through education, I could have made a different decision. Now that's just one example. Everyone has their story, everyone has their thing, but just give you an example of why we as real estate professionals, with the information that we have, and sometimes we beat ourselves up for, well, what do I say? No one cares. No, like if things that you know are not as obvious as you think they are. This is so stupid for me to admit this, especially to real estate professionals, but I did not know. I was so new to sales whenever I started the entrepreneur journey. I did not know what a lead was. I did not know what the word lead meant. And that's so stupid. But it's one of those things that we overlook, that we take as a given. It's not so obvious out in the world. It's not so obvious that you don't need 20% down. As I mentioned to you, I had a good amount of capital to deploy. I thought that I needed to save 20% for every single home that I purchased. So if we look at it from a missional perspective, like this is my mission to help someone in this way, making the calls isn't so bad, making the videos isn't so scary, putting this post that I think is, oh, if nobody likes it, who cares that nobody likes it? You can delete that tomorrow. Try again next week.
Yeah, I mean, I got a question for you. The videos for the sellers, should it be regarding, so the one title that you brought up, why shouldn't I sell my home right now, or why I should sell my home right now? Should it be about what's happening right now as far as the time frame? So right now, my objections are, I want to wait until after the holidays. I want to wait until after winter, well, especially where I am. I want to wait because they think the market slows down. So that's like the objection.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Should the video be about what's happening right now in the time frame?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I want to make sure that I show you something real quick. So you don't think I'm so full of crap, that I actually practice what I preach here.
I never think that, Jaime, really?
Well, no, not you, but like everybody. So do you see the screen right now?
Yeah.
To answer your question, remember that video is 1 out of a billion that you can make. So let's start there. Let's not, like, this is my one chance. Not that you said that, but just so everyone is clear, the one video that I gave as an example is 1 out of a million that you'll make. But to answer your question though, remember we were talking about 3 different categories: acquisition, conversion, and scaling. If you're doing acquisition videos, like these videos, you need to know where they have their place. So just so you know, whenever I'm creating content, I identify, this would be a better one, actually. I identify where they are, meaning ordinary time essentially means this is general information that anybody could watch and benefit from. I'm not looking for them to be active clients anytime soon if they watch this video. So this content's designed for the everyday person this would be valuable to know. Research mode. This is for those people. This is basically the top, middle, and bottom of funnel. That's essentially what you're seeing here, but in reverse. Research mode. People that are researching to sell their house, this is going to apply to them. So tips to stage your home for a quick sell. Tips to sell your home faster. They're in research mode. That content would appeal to those people that are researching. Preparing to launch. These are people that are actually getting prepared to actually do the sell. So how does home staging work? Does professional home staging help me sell a house? That could also technically be research, but preparing to launch, meaning preparing to sell. The selling rocket ship, for me, what that means is all terminology that I made up, so it may not make sense to you, but the selling rocket ship is actually the system that I have for all of my clients, where I detail everything that's going to happen. That selling rocket ship is in my presentation, where I outline what's happening from beginning to end. So for me, whenever I'm creating content, don't forget about the HOA when you're selling. How does the home selling process work? So these are people that are actually already in the thick of things. They're already in the process of selling. They could already have an agent, or they could be very close to selecting an agent. And then the cool down period, meaning after they bought the home. So the cool down period is essentially what to do after you buy your home. Let's see if I can find some cool down periods. What you must do after closing on your home. Boom. Well, they didn't use me for that transaction, but I know statistically in 6 to 7 years, this conversation is going to happen again. So that's homestead exemption, property taxes, all that other fun stuff. So that's their cool down period. Does that make sense?
Yes, I like that.
That's another thing that I'll probably teach on at some point in time. I still want to refine it a little bit more, but that's another component. But we've already talked about so much strategy, and I don't want to confuse you any more than I should. Cindy and Tony, what you got before we head out?
Hey there. Hey, first of all, we love your mastermind classes and we really appreciate them. We've been in the business a while and we don't pretend like we know everything, and especially when it comes to social media. And so you're right. Videos are so important, but one problem that I'm having is not getting a lot of views. And I'm using keywords everywhere, and TubeBuddy, and I'm creating custom, thumbnails on Canva. So they look good, and I feel like I'm doing a good job, but I'm just only getting like, less than 50 or 60 views. And so my question is, in the future, do you think you might go over some tips on things when you're inputting stuff into YouTube and these places, things that would optimize or make your videos more viewable, I guess you should say?
Yeah. So right off the bat, I have not looked at your channel. Since we're talking about YouTube, but right off the bat, if you're not getting as many views, I'd first want to look at your topic selection. So bringing it into today's teaching: acquisition, conversion, scaling. Right. So when we're talking about the topic selection, are you making a topic that has enough traffic on it? Meaning, is there enough on it? Like, there's enough demand for it? Are these questions that you're getting? Is it something that people would like to learn more about? Right. So that's number one. Now, the second thing that I would do is look at your YouTube channel's analytics and go on those videos and see how long people are hanging out. That is taking the market. Like the first example, the first item that I brought up about traffic, that's the market telling us.
Okay.
When we look at the analytics, that is a reflection on how we are performing. Meaning that's our conversion strategy. So applying this to today's teaching, that market, that's the acquisition. The conversion, we're looking at how long are people staying. You want people to stay at least 40% of your video on YouTube, since we're talking about YouTube specifically. So what this allows you to do is realize, does my topic selection need to change, or do I need to change? Because no keyword research is gonna outpace your content quality of what you're saying, how you're saying it, and how you're delivering it. So you could try to game the system all day long, and a lot of people have, but at the end of the day, you're going to get exposed. Not you in particular, but you are going to get exposed. So when you're looking at your analytics and seeing, hey, after 30 seconds, and this is a very important metric for you to look at, are people staying at least 70% of the time, right? So if we're looking at different ways to improve, if you notice that on one of your videos, it absolutely plummets that by the time 30 seconds are up, only 20 people are there, or 20% are there, that lets you know several things. That lets you know that either your first 30 seconds are boring as hell, or there's a disconnect between your thumbnail, title, and what's actually in the video. So in an indirect way, or not indirect way, it's very direct, but in a very accidental way, you clickbaited somebody. You gave them an expectation from your thumbnail, from your title, that something was going to happen. And that's a big downside to trying to keyword perfect everything. You go based off of what the keywords are saying, these tools are saying. When people get into the video, it's a very big disconnect.
Yeah, and I always hate it.
People drop.
And I always hate it when people do that, because I'm trying to find something specific and then I click on it and it's not anything like it. So I try to make my my thumbnail, they don't have to match exactly from what I understand, but my thumbnail, the words, and I keep them few and big, and I try to make the thumbnails and the title pretty much, and I use some B-roll, try to do a hook at the beginning, and and I've taken a couple of different classes here and there, and I'm learning, but I'm just not the techiest one. Cindy's a lot techier than me, but I appreciate all your stuff that you're showing. We have it on YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. Haven't done Instagram yet. So, but I appreciate your classes, man. And I mean, I've been doing this for 24 years. I'm great at being a realtor, but I suck at prospecting. and so, I'm humbling myself, going, okay, door knocking, door dropping, and open houses, is old school. Still, open houses are great, but social media is where people are killing it, and I just don't want to let it kill me.
No, you're adapting, dude, and I see y'all. So Cindy's probably right next to you listening. So I appreciate y'all being on our masterminds every single Tuesday and Thursday. So that's not That's not overlooked. So you are adapting. So I appreciate you for that.